For those who understand the law of assumption, you recognize that everything in your world, every circumstance, every person, every opportunity is arranged by your own wonderful human imagination. And your presence here now is evidence that you have already begun to awaken to your divine nature, to your God self. Let me tell you something marvelous. Your consciousness is God, not a part of God, not a tiny fragment of divine energy, but God in entirety expressing as you. I and my Father are one, but man has yet to discover this greatest of all truths. You wear the mask of a particular personality with specific limitations and problems, but behind that mask is the limitless I am. The I am that speaks through your thoughts and feelings is the same I am that brought forth all of creation. When you say I am, you are announcing the presence of God, for that is his name forever and ever. And whatever you attach to those powerful words becomes your reality. Now, many of you have studied various metaphysical teachings, you've read books, attended seminars, practiced techniques. Yet you still find yourself waiting for your desires to manifest, wondering if perhaps you're doing something wrong. Let me assure you, the only thing standing between you and your desire made manifest is your concept of time and your belief in process. In the realm of spirit, where all creation truly takes place, there is no time. There is only the eternal now. In that now, everything you could ever desire already exists. It is finished, complete. Your job is not to create your desire anew, but rather to enter the state where your desire is fulfilled, to live from the end. When you imagine yourself in possession of your desire, feeling the naturalness of having it, enjoying it, experiencing it as real, you are literally entering that state in consciousness. And since consciousness is the only reality, what you have assumed in consciousness must objectify itself in your world. It has no choice, for that is law. As within, so without. Your outer world is nothing more than the objectification of your inner assumptions. Every person, every circumstance in your life is there, because somewhere in consciousness you have assumed it to be so. This is not to place blame, but to awaken you to your incredible power. Imagine for a moment that you are in a dark room, and within this room are infinite rooms, each one containing a different state of being. One room contains wealth beyond measure. Another contains perfect health. Another contains a loving relationship. Every desire you could possibly imagine exists in its fulfilled state in one of these rooms. Now, you cannot see these different rooms because of the darkness, but you can feel your way around. How do you know when you've entered a particular room? By the feeling it evokes within you. If you've entered the room of wealth, you feel the distinctive feeling of being wealthy. If you've entered the room of health, you feel the unmistakable feeling of vitality coursing through your veins. Your emotional reactions, your feelings, are the currency of manifestation. When you can genuinely feel wealthy before the money appears in your bank account, when you can feel love before the specific person enters your life, when you can feel successful before the outer signs appear, then you have mastered the art of manifestation. But most of humanity lives in reverse. They wait to feel wealthy until they see money. They wait to feel loved until someone shows them love. They wait to feel successful until they achieve outer success. And because of this, they remain stuck, waiting for circumstances to change so they can finally feel what they desire to feel. I am telling you now, reverse the process. Feel first, and the outer manifestation must follow as a natural consequence. This is the meaning behind faith, is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is not a wishy-washy hope that things might improve someday. Faith is the actual substance, the actual feeling of your desire fulfilled now. Consider the story in Scripture where Jesus cursed the fig tree, and the next day the disciples marveled that it had withered away. Jesus told them, "Have faith in God. For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith." What was Jesus revealing here? The secret of manifestation. When you speak to your mountain, your problem, your challenge, your unfulfilled desire, you must speak with absolute conviction, not hoping, not wishing, but knowing knowing with such certainty that doubt finds no place to root in your consciousness. This absolute knowing comes from having already experienced the end in imagination. When you have lived the experience so vividly in imagination that it feels more real than your present physical circumstances, then you have planted the seed that must grow into manifestation. Now let's address something that keeps many spiritual seekers trapped: the constant search for the perfect technique. You may have tried affirmations, visualization, scripting, acting as if, and countless other methods. And while these can be valuable tools, they are just that, tools. They are means to an end, and that end is the state of consciousness where your desire is already fulfilled. The techniques themselves have no power. The power lies in your consciousness, in your ability to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. If a technique helps you capture that feeling more effectively, then by all means use it. But never mistake the technique for the real work, which is the assumption of the state. Every day, countless people repeat affirmations without feeling, visualize without conviction, and act as if while still believing they're pretending. This divided mind, this attempt to serve two masters, keeps their desires at bay. Choose this day whom you will serve, your present circumstances or your desired state. You cannot serve both. When you truly understand the law of assumption, you realize that what appears as reality is actually just a shadow, a reflection of past assumptions. It has no power to create your future unless you continue to give it power through your attention and belief. Your current circumstances, no matter how convincing they may seem, are nothing more than echoes of past thoughts. The outer world is dead. It has no life of its own. The only thing that is truly alive is your consciousness, your awareness. And within that consciousness, you have the power to assume any state whatsoever. As you persist in that assumption, the outer world must reshape itself to match your inner conviction. Think of it like this: your consciousness is like a projector, and the screen is your three-dimensional reality. Whatever film you run through the projector will appear on the screen. If you don't like what you see on the screen, there's no use in trying to change the screen directly. You must change the film, the content of your consciousness. Let's go deeper now. Many of you have heard that thoughts create reality, and while there's truth in this statement, it's not quite accurate. It's not your thoughts that create reality, it's the state from which those thoughts flow. A state is a complete package of thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and assumptions that together form a cohesive experience of being. For instance, the state of being wealthy includes not just thoughts about money, but also how you feel about yourself, how you perceive opportunities, how you interact with others, how you make decisions. When you enter the state of wealth consciousness, all these aspects align naturally. You don't have to force positive thoughts about money. They arise spontaneously from the state. This is why simply trying to think positive thoughts while remaining in a state of lack is so difficult and ultimately ineffective. You're trying to produce thoughts that are inconsistent with your state. Instead, change the state, and the thoughts will follow automatically. How do you change your state? Through the controlled use of your imagination. Your imagination is the bridge between your current state and the desired state. When you enter imagination with clear intention, you temporarily leave behind your current state and experience the desired state directly. With persistent use of imagination, you gradually shift your primary state of consciousness until you naturally dwell in the state of your fulfilled desire. This is not pretending or fooling yourself. This is awakening to different aspects of the infinite being that you truly are. Remember, all states already exist. You're not creating the state of wealth or the state of health or the state of love. These states are eternal aspects of consciousness, available to anyone who can assume them. Your work is to select the state you prefer and occupy it through the power of assumption. Now, some of you may be wondering, if it's this simple, why haven't I manifested my desires yet? The answer is found in two places: persistence and immediacy. Most people do not persist in their assumption long enough for it to become their dominant state. They imagine their desire fulfilled today, but tomorrow they're back to worrying about their problems. They affirm their wealth in the morning, but spend the afternoon complaining about bills. This vacillation between states prevents any one state from fully expressing itself in reality. The solution is to persist, not with strain or effort, but with the calm knowing that what you have experienced in imagination is more real and more substantial than temporary physical circumstances. Physical reality is fluid, constantly changing to reflect your dominant state. If you persist in the assumption of your desire fulfilled, physical reality has no choice but to conform. The second factor is immediacy. Many believe that after they imagine their desire fulfilled, there must be a waiting period, a gestation period before manifestation can occur. But this is a misunderstanding of the law. In consciousness, there is no time. The moment you truly enter the state of your wish fulfilled, the outer circumstances begin reorganizing themselves to match that inner reality. What appears as delay is actually the time it takes for you to fully enter and occupy the desired state. Once you are truly in the state, manifestation is instantaneous. What you're waiting for is not the universe to catch up with your desire, but for you to catch up with the version of yourself who already has what you want. This brings us to another crucial point, your identity. Who do you believe yourself to be? This self-concept acts as a thermostat, regulating what manifestations are allowed into your experience. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with money, then even if you temporarily manifest some wealth, your self-concept will eventually bring you back to financial struggle. To create lasting change, you must revise your self-concept. You must see yourself as the person who naturally experiences what you desire. Not someone who is trying to get something, but someone who already has it as a natural expression of who they are. This identity shift happens from within. It's not about changing your behavior to match some external ideal. It's about recognizing that you are already that which you desire to be, and then allowing your outer behavior to naturally align with this inner knowing. I want to address a common misconception now. Many spiritual teachers speak of letting go or detachment from your desires as a necessary step for manifestation. And while there's wisdom in this teaching, it's often misunderstood. True detachment is not about caring less about your desire. It's about detaching from the need for your desire to manifest in a particular way or time frame. It's about detaching from the anxiety and doubt that come from living in lack. When you have truly assumed the state of your wish fulfilled, you are naturally detached, because in your consciousness, you already have what you desire. There's nothing to be anxious about. Think of it this way. Are you anxious about receiving your next breath? Of course not. You breathe without thought or concern because you know the air is there for you. This is the kind of naturalness you want to cultivate regarding your desires, not indifference, but absolute trust. Another misunderstanding revolves around action. Some interpret the law of assumption to mean that physical action is unnecessary. If it's all about consciousness, they reason, then I don't need to do anything. This misses the point entirely. Action will always be part of the manifestation process, but when you're operating from the correct state of consciousness, the actions you take will be inspired and effortless. They will feel like the natural next step rather than forced effort. You won't be acting to get your desire. You'll be acting from the state of already having it. Imagine a wealthy person. They take actions consistent with wealth. They invest, they make purchases, they create new ventures. These actions flow naturally from their state of wealth consciousness. They don't strain or struggle with these actions because they align with their self-concept. When you assume the state of your wish fulfilled, you will find yourself naturally taking actions that align with that state. And these actions will be far more effective than actions taken from a state of lack, because they carry a different energy and intention. Now, I want to speak specifically about the timing of this message finding you. As I said at the beginning, it is no coincidence that you are hearing these words now. Your consciousness drawn this message to you because you are ready for the next step in your awakening. Many of you have been feeling a stirring lately, a sense that something significant is about to shift in your life. You've been experiencing synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that seem to be guiding you towards something. This message is part of that guidance. The universe, which is really your own expanded consciousness, has arranged for you to receive this confirmation now. Because you have been asking for clarity. You have been asking for a sign that you're on the right path, that your desires are valid and possible for you. Consider this your sign. Consider this your confirmation. The very fact that these words are resonating with something deep within you is evidence that you are ready to step more fully into your manifesting power. Now let me address something that may have been troubling some of you. You may have had experiences where you applied these principles, assumed your desire was fulfilled, and yet nothing seemed to happen. Or worse, the opposite of what you wanted appeared in your life. First, understand that this is not evidence that the law doesn't work. The law is operating perfectly at all times. What these experiences reveal is that there was something in your consciousness that you were unaware of, a contradictory belief, a fear, or an attachment to your current circumstances that was stronger than your assumption of the new state. This is actually good news, because it means that as you become more aware of these contradictions in consciousness, you can address them directly. You can revise them, release them, and create more internal congruence. One powerful way to identify these contradictions is to pay attention to your natural thoughts and feelings throughout the day. Not the thoughts you're trying to think, but the thoughts that arise spontaneously when you're not monitoring yourself. These reveal your actual state of consciousness. If you find thoughts of worry, lack, or doubt arising frequently, don't judge yourself. Simply recognize that these thoughts are showing you what needs to be revised in consciousness. Each one is an opportunity for transformation. Remember, revision is not just for past events, it's also for revising your concept of yourself. When you catch yourself thinking from a limited state, gently shift your awareness back to the truth of who you are, a divine being with infinite potential, temporarily expressing through a human form. Let's talk about resistance for a moment. When you begin to consciously create your reality, you will inevitably encounter resistance. This resistance might show up as doubt, fear, or conflicting desires. It might manifest as criticism from others or challenges in your circumstances. All of this is normal and part of the process. Resistance doesn't mean you're doing something wrong or that manifestation isn't working. It simply means you're moving against the momentum of your past thinking. Just as a vehicle needs more force to change direction when it's already moving, your consciousness requires persistent focus to shift from established patterns to new ones. The key is to recognize resistance without engaging with it. When doubt arises, don't fight it or feel guilty about it. Simply observe it, then gently return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Each time you choose your desired state over resistance, you strengthen your new assumption and weaken the old patterns. Now, let's discuss a concept that is often overlooked in discussions of manifestation, the Sabbath. In the biblical tradition, the Sabbath represents rest, not physical rest, but mental rest from striving. In terms of conscious creation, entering the Sabbath means reaching a point where you no longer feel the need to work on your manifestation, because in consciousness it is done. When you have fully assumed the state of your wish fulfilled to the point where it feels natural and normal, when you no longer feel anxious about when or how it will manifest, you have entered the Sabbath. This is the true meaning of let go and let God. You let go of the effort of assuming because you have successfully planted the seed in fertile soil. Now you simply allow it to grow. Many miss their manifestations because they never enter this Sabbath state. They constantly dig up the seed to see if it's growing, thereby disrupting the very process they're trying to complete. Trust is required here. Trust in the law, trust in your imagination, and ultimately, trusting yourself as the operant power. Another aspect of manifestation that deserves attention is gratitude. True gratitude isn't about saying thank you for something you hope to receive in the future. It's about feeling genuine appreciation for something you experience as already yours. When you assume the state of having your desire fulfilled, gratitude flows naturally. You're not grateful in order to get something, you're grateful because in consciousness, you already have it. This gratitude is not a technique, but a natural expression of your assumed state. For many of you, what I'm sharing may seem familiar. You've heard aspects of this teaching before, perhaps in different words or from different traditions. Yet something keeps bringing you back to these principles. Something keeps drawing you to this message of your creative power. That something is your own divine nature calling you to awaken more fully. Part of you already knows everything I'm sharing. My words are simply reminding you of what you've temporarily forgotten. The amnesia of human experience has covered these truths, but they remain within you waiting to be remembered. As you listen to these words, feel for the resonance of truth within you. Not intellectual agreement, but a deeper knowing, a recognition. The part of you that recognizes truth doesn't need proof or validation. It simply knows. This recognition is your divine self communicating with you. It's telling you, yes, this is who we really are. This is what we're capable of. Listen to this inner knowing. Trust it. It will guide you more surely than any external authority ever could. Now, let's address a practical concern. What about other people? If your consciousness creates your reality, what about the free will of others? What about circumstances that seem to involve multiple people? Here's the liberating truth. Everyone in your reality is an aspect of your consciousness, not their actual soul or being, but your experience of them. The version of your friend, your boss that appears in your reality is shaped by your assumptions about them. This doesn't mean they don't have free will in their own reality, but in your experience, they will reflect back to you your assumptions about who they are and how they behave. Change your assumption about someone, and you will see a change in their behavior toward you. This is why forgiveness is so powerful. When you truly forgive someone, you are revising your concept of them. You are no longer binding them to past behaviors in your consciousness. This creates space for a new expression of that relationship in your experience. The same principle applies to groups, institutions, and even global situations. Your experience of these collective circumstances is shaped by your assumptions about them. Change your assumption, and your experience will change regardless of what others continue to experience. This is true freedom. You are not at the mercy of circumstances or other people. You are the author of your experience, the creator of your reality. Everything you perceive is a reflection of your own consciousness, giving you the opportunity to know yourself more deeply. Now, I want to address something that may be troubling some of you who are spiritually inclined. You may be wondering, isn't this focus on manifestation and getting what I want somewhat selfish? Shouldn't I be focusing on higher spiritual aims? This is a false dichotomy. Your desires, all of them, come from God, because you are God individualized. The impulse to have, to do, to be more is the divine impulse of expansion expressing through you. It is not selfish to fulfill your desires. It is the purpose for which you are here. Moreover, as you fulfill your desires and experience greater abundance, love, health, and joy, you naturally have more to give others. You cannot give from an empty cup. By filling your own cup, through conscious creation, you ensure that you have plenty to share. The most spiritually advanced beings are not those who have renounced desires, but those who have fulfilled their desires and transcended, recognizing that the real joy was not in the thing desired, but in the expansion of consciousness that came through the process of manifestation. So do not apologize for your desires. Do not minimize them or think them unspiritual. Honor them as divine impulses, calling you toward greater expression of your true nature. As we move toward the conclusion of this message, I want to emphasize the importance of faith, not blind faith in some external power, but faith in the law that never fails and faith in yourself as the operant power. This faith is built through experience. Each time you successfully manifest something, no matter how small, your faith grows. This is why it can be helpful to start with smaller manifestations that don't carry heavy emotional charge or strong contradictory beliefs. As you prove the law to yourself through personal experience, your confidence grows. Eventually, you reach a point where doubt becomes impossible because you have seen the law work too many times to question it. This is mastery. But even before you reach that point of complete confidence, you can borrow my faith. I stand before you as evidence of what is possible when you fully embrace these principles. Everything I have shared with you comes from direct experience, not theory. I know these principles work because I've tested them thoroughly in my own life. The universe has arranged for our paths to cross at this precise moment because you are ready for this message. You are ready to step more fully into your creative power. You are ready to remember who you truly are and what you are capable of creating. This is your manifestation confirmation. The fact that these words found you, that they resonate with something deep within you, is confirmation that you are on the right path. Your desires are valid. Your power is real. Your manifestation is already complete in consciousness and is moving toward expression in your physical reality. All that remains is for you to choose. Will you continue to be defined by your past, limited by your circumstances, controlled by your fears? Or will you claim your divine birthright as a creator, as God individualized in human form? The choice is yours as it has always been. But know this, having heard these words, having felt their resonance with your own inner knowing, you can never fully return to unconscious creation. A seed has been planted in your awareness that will continue to grow. Your manifestation journey has reached a crucial turning point. From this moment forward, you will begin to see evidence of your creative power more clearly. Synchronicities will increase. Your manifestations will accelerate. Your confidence will grow. Trust this process. Trust yourself. All that you desire is already yours in consciousness. Allow it to express itself in your experience by maintaining the assumption that it is done. Remember, you are not working toward your desire. You are simply recognizing what is already complete. In the realm of spirit, where all creation takes place, your desire is fulfilled. Your work is to align your humanness with this spiritual fact. As you leave this message today, carry with you this one truth: you are the operant power in your life. Not circumstances, not other people, not luck or chance or fate. You, through your assumptions, create your reality. Use this power consciously. Use it lovingly. Use it with the knowledge that as you lift yourself, you lift all of humanity. For we are all connected, all expressions of the one divine consciousness exploring itself through infinite variations of human experience. The universe arranged for you to receive this message today as your manifestation confirmation. Now go forth and create deliberately with joy and confidence, knowing that all things are possible to the one who believes. Remember, imagination creates reality. What you assume, you become. The world is yourself pushed out. These are not just pretty metaphysical sayings. They are the fundamental laws of consciousness by which your entire reality operates. Test them. Prove them to yourself. And as you do, watch in wonder as your life transforms before your eyes, reflecting back to you the limitless being that you truly are. This is your divine inheritance. Claim it. Live from it. And share the fruits of it with a world that desperately needs the light of conscious creators. Now, in this moment, feel the truth of what I've shared. Feel it not as an intellectual concept, but as a living reality within you. Feel the power that has always been yours. Feel the freedom that comes from knowing you are the author of your experience. This feeling is your manifestation confirmation. Trust it. Live from it. And watch as the universe, which is really yourself in a grander form, responds by showing you evidence of your creative power everywhere you look. It is done.